Ever wonder how many times The Simpsons have managed to predict the future with crazy accuracy? While the show may not be perfect, when it comes to eerie foresight, it still has its fair share of moments. So, let's jump right in. Season 2, Episode 4. Lisa and her brother Bart were fishing in a pond when a man approached them. Without introduction, he begins questioning them about their fishing methods.
Caught anything?
Not yet, sir.
What are you using for bait?
My brother's using worms.
Stranger danger much? Bart answers the man with disrespect, and that's when he suddenly catches a fish. And it literally looks like it was born in a failed science experiment, because it's got 3 eyes instead of 2. Bart and the man are shocked. Understandably so. Bart and his strange catch get featured in the newspaper with the headline, "Mutation Caught at Old Fishing Hole. Is the power plant responsible?" Mr. Byrne, who owns the power plant, is blamed for the fish flap, but he denies responsibility for the fish flap. The 3-eyed fish in this episode is supposed to be a funny reminder of the horrid effects Byrne's nuclear plant has on the town. Turns out, The Simpsons had already predicted this real-world event. At least 10 years later, an Argentinian man caught a 3-eyed wolf fish in a small water reservoir by a nearby power plant. Now, I don't know if that was a coincidence or not, but it definitely is something strange to think about. Season 3, Episode 24. The episode starts with Mr. Byrne collecting the sperm samples of his male employees. Definitely not the creepiest thing Mr. Burns has done, but anyway. He claims that it's for research, but we all know how true that is. After collecting all the sperm samples, his assistant tells him that Homer's sperm cells are all blanks, and that he could sue Mr. Burns and his power plant for millions.
I'm afraid radiation from the plant is the reason he's shooting blanks. He could sue us for millions.
Mother of pearl.
That's when Mr. Burns gets really worried and starts taking steps to somehow defend him and his power plant facility from getting sued. Mr. Byrne gathers his team of lawyers and asks them for advice.
Please continue.
If you offer Mr. Simpson a token sum, say a couple of thou, he'll be so dazzled, he'll sign anything you shove under his nose.
Later in the episode, Homer's long-lost brother comes home to visit him and his family. But his brother only comes for the money, as he needs the $2,000 that Homer won.
All I need is a couple of $1,000 to build a prototype. You'll have your money back in 30 days, I swear.
He needs the money to market his product that he recently invented. Herb's invention is a baby translator. The Simpsons basically predicted that something like this would exist in the future, which is pretty cool if you ask me. As of today, there are quite a few baby translator equivalents on the App Store. The episode ends with Herb's idea making him millions in fortune, and he thanks the family for believing in him. He also finally forgives Homer and even buys him the massage chair he wanted. Season 4, Episode 17. The episode begins with the Simpsons at the movies watching one of the McBain's cheesy action blockbuster movies, in which a scene is shown where McBain and his heroic lead sneaks into a meeting where he is shown to have planted himself concealed within an ice figure before suddenly bursting out and exclaiming, "Ice to see you," and then shooting everyone at the meeting. This scene foreshadows the cheesy ice-themed pun used by Mr. Freeze in the film Batman and Robin, which came out in 1997.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
While it wasn't a prediction of the film itself, it was a prediction of that style of pun, which became a really criticized aspect of the film as it was considered really cringy. Season 4, Episode 21. Marge in Chains begins with Homer watching TV, specifically a public access show featuring Troy McClure, and Homer decides to order the juicer he sees on the TV. The workers working in the juicer machine factory have the Osaka flu, and infect Homer's juicer as well. The episode then shows that the Osaka flu then spreads to everyone in Springfield. Just as Quimby abandoned his constituents,
I shall not leave the city. Hey, you!
Austin Mayor Steve Adler's advice to residents to remain indoors rang hollow when he was then spotted in Mexico attending a wedding. This incident brought to mind the widespread anger directed at Senator Ted Cruz, whose 2021 trip to Mexico during the Texas winter storm caused widespread suffering and loss. The Osaka flu was also a prediction of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the episode, a crowd of people demanded a cure for the illness.
Why, the only cure is bed rest. Anything I give you would only be a placebo.
Where do we get these placebos?
Maybe there's some in this truck.
Around the same time as the COVID-19 outbreak, reports emerged of the Asian giant hornet's presence in the US. This hornet was a threat to the bee population and is known to be capable of devastating entire bee colonies. Coincidence? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Season 5, Episode 14. Barbie, the comedy hit directed by Greta Gerwig, dominated the 2023 box office, grossing over $1.4 billion as it became a worldwide sensation. Long before the Barbie movie's success worldwide, The Simpsons had already shown an imaginary world driven by Barbie dolls years earlier, in Lisa vs. Malibu Stacy. Even though the episode was released in 1994, Lisa vs. Malibu Stacy remained remarkably relevant for viewers in 2023. Not only did it predict the fanfare around Barbie, but it also hinted at Donald Trump's arrest.
Oh, and the president was arrested for murder. More on that tomorrow night. Or you can turn to another channel.
On August 24th of 2023, Donald Trump surrendered himself to the authorities after he was accused of charges related to racketeering. Season 6, Episode 19. At first, Lisa and her fiancé are shown sitting together on a picnic date. That's when he asks Lisa to marry him. Lisa's fiancé, Hugh, is shown watching a smartwatch to communicate or even order someone around. We can see how excitedly Lisa says yes. Even though smartwatches did exist in the 90s, they weren't as advanced as depicted in the episode, and the smartwatch is shown to have similar features as smartwatches today. Lisa and her fiancé are shown traveling in an airplane. She talks to Hugh about how she loves these new airplanes. And the London skyline in this episode shows a tall, pointed building resembling the Shard, which was built in 2012. Season 9, Episode 3. The episode describes the backstory of Lisa's love for the musical instrument. In the episode, in one scene, Bart is shown sick and a bit under the weather, so his mother Marge attempts to cheer him up somehow and reads him a book with a really strange title. Sometimes, I wonder what goes on in these guys' heads. The book is shown to have the title, Curious George and the Ebola Virus, which is pretty strange because when the episode was aired, the virus wasn't even widely known until there was a sudden outbreak of it in 2000. The outbreak happened in the Republic of Congo and Uganda as well, claiming 254 and 244 lives of innocent people respectively. Season 13, Episode 22. After Homer takes down a robber trying to rob a grocery shop, he discovers the new level of bravery inside of him, and he decides to form his own police force.
Fellas, I'm starting my own private police force.
In this episode, Fat Tony's gang is selling ferrets hidden as poodles. This exact same incident happened in the future in Argentina, where an Argentinian man did almost the exact same thing and was caught and put to jail. This is a very specific and rather bizarre case of The Simpsons shown predicting the future. Season 18, Episode 3. A scene is featured in the episode where a JCPenney's store is mentioned, and a lot of fans of the show see it as a foreshadowing of the real JCPenney's financial troubles and eventual bankruptcy. The famous American department store chain filed for bankruptcy during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. It's pretty weird how the episode predicted the closing of the store 13 years prior. I guess we should have expected that from the notorious Simpsons. Season 21, Episode 12. The episode starts with Homer and Marge about to go on a planned date night. But Mr. Byrne, Homer's boss, stops him from leaving early from work and asks him to fix a leak in the power plant before he goes. Marge desperately waits for Homer to get back home so they can go for their date night. But thankfully, Marge doesn't get mad at Homer, and when he comes back home, they go on their date. They go to the movies, but because of some issues, they aren't able to enjoy their night over there either. This eventually leads them to playing the winter sport of curling. Marge gathers a curling team with her friends, and they go on to compete for the competition. The episode Boy Meets Curl is mostly popular due to the fact it predicted the USA men's curling team winning the gold medal at the Olympics. This episode was aired before the USA men's curling team won in the Olympics in 2018. Season 23, Episode 21. The scene at first shows that Homer and his family are at an audition, and the play director is unable to find a perfect person for the role of Jesus Christ. In this scene, Homer is shown checking his Twitter, where he finds out that Twitter has evolved into a new platform called Yapple, which is not the same as X, but the scene does indeed predict the evolution of the platform Twitter into something new, which is something that has recently happened in the real world in July of 2023. Season 2, Episode 18. In the episode Brush with Greatness, Marge picks up the paintbrush again for the first time in a long time after she learns of the fate of her Ringo Starr portraits. As part of the episode, there is a scene that finds Ringo Starr himself writing responses to vast amount of fan mail around him, much of which has been there since years ago. This isn't too far from a real-life event involving Paul McCartney, when he wrote back to two fans from Essex, London in September 2013. This was a reply to a letter they sent back in 1963. McCartney wittily penned, "Better late than never," and thanked them for their lovely tape. Another classic Simpsons prediction. Up until now, we've explored some of the strangest and most shocking ways The Simpsons has seemingly predicted the future. While some of these moments may just be clever satire or pure coincidence, others make us wonder if there's something more at play here. But boy, you're not ready for what's to come next. Season 9, Episode 1. At first, First, Homer gets a letter from New York which states that his vehicle is impounded there. Lisa says that she would love to travel to New York, and the family finally agrees on going. While this scene happens, Lisa holds up a magazine with a cover that reads $9. What's strange is the placement of the 9 directly next to the shape of the Twin Towers in the New York skyline. It's weird as it uses the Twin Tower buildings as an 11. This painful tragedy then took place in 2001 and shook the entire world. During the trip, his negative feelings are amplified while in the city when he tries to get his car back. He tries to get the tire jammers off by himself, but it doesn't work. A man shouts to him from a building and asks him to call the number written on the jammer, which is the only way he can get his car back.
Pal, you gotta call that number on a booth!
Season 11, Episode 5. The Simpsons family is watching a movie about a character named Zorro at a movie theater. Homer gets inspired by Zorro and starts asking random people to duel with him, until he meets a good opponent who is a very famous duelist.
I agree to the duel, sir. I choose pistols at dawn.
Homer decides to run away and takes his family to the farm where he grew up. He decides to work at his dad's farm. He tries growing crops on his land, but the soil's pH level is 9.6.
Well, I know your soil pH is up around 9.6 and you need a 7 to 8 max.
Which, for those of you who don't know, is kinda high, and due to which his father had abandoned this farm long ago. Homer then gets the idea to order some plutonium. Plutonium is extremely dangerous, and he uses the highly radioactive material to grow crops on his farm. A bizarre combination of the tomato and tobacco plants forms, and the potential to make money from it drives a wedge between Homer and the rest of his family. The deformed fruits and vegetables that appeared near the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant made an uneasy reminder of Homer's tobacco creation, as the show predicted. Thankfully, these mutations were never commercialized, but it begs the question, what will become of the genetically modified foods in the future? Season 20, Episode 4. The episode begins with Homer going to vote. He tries to fit in the booth, but can't, so he goes to the ultra-wide booth, which is specifically built for plus-sized people like him. He tries to vote, but he is confused as he is completely uninformed about the candidates.
No, I want to vote for Obama.
2 votes for McCain.
Come on, it's time for a change. This machine is rigged.
And the scene seems to have predicted an electoral mishap related to former President Barack Obama. Another such incident occurred in 2012 where a viral YouTube video showed an incorrectly recorded vote in Pennsylvania. Instead of being counted for Obama, the vote was counted for Romney, igniting a public controversy. Season 25, Episode 16. Lisa and her family are invited to a speech competition in their school, and Lisa has a great topic for her speech, but suddenly she finds out that Martin, who is one of her classmates, has used her topic. She feels devastated when Bart gives her the idea to give a speech about Homer.
I'll just make a speech about Dad. Everyone does that. Everyone does that with good dads, but with our dad, it's like climbing Mount Everest.
Homer seems to be really happy and proud about the speech Lisa gave about him in school, and he even admires himself. We can even see him sing a song about him being a great dad.
Oh, Lisa never lies. I'm a great school hero.
And he even tells Lisa that he really loved her speech.
Lisa, your speech was one of the nicest things anyone's ever done for me. When did you come up with the idea?
The executive vice president of the World Football Federation visits him and requests him to become a referee for them. The episode depicts just such a shortage of referees owing to corruption, prefiguring later allegations of bribery, of money laundering, and of fraud against the organization, which is why they ask Homer to become a referee for the WFF. The prediction that the episode got right was comparatively harmless, with the episode featuring Germany's victory in the tournament, and they defeated Brazil 1-0. Season 23, Episode 10. The episode politically inept with Homer Simpson starts with the Simpsons family at the Springfield airport, preparing to fly to a relative's wedding. Bart complains about why they are even invited to the stupid wedding, and Marge tells him that they're going so that her feelings won't be hurt. The family is stuck in long lines, and Homer, who is, as usual, particularly impatient and is stressed about the whole process. To make things even worse, the passengers on the plane get to know that the flight is significantly delayed. The atmosphere on the plane starts to get tenser than a frat party. While Homer and his family are trapped on the plane, Homer is even denied permission to use the restroom. He finally breaks and goes on to rant about the airline's terrible state of travel and the bad treatment they give to their passengers. Bart records his father's rant on his phone and uploads it online, which proceeds to go viral. Homer's rant strikes a chord on people, and he quickly becomes an internet sensation. The video gets 150 million plus hits, and Homer has to disguise himself to avoid being spotted in public. People applaud him, and they love him. The video leads to him becoming a political commentator, and he gets involved in the world of politics. While Homer is on the news show, we can see the episode featuring a scene where one of the headlines running along the bottom of the screen touches on the financial instability of Greece. Even though the episode was released in 2012, it hinted at the Greek economic crisis of 2015, 3 years prior. Season 5, Episode 15. The episode opens with the Worker of the Week ceremony at the power plant. Homer is visibly disappointed, having never won the award in his career.
Nobody respects me at work.
Well, we respect you.
Well, if they did, then you wouldn't need to clarify that, would you? While watching TV, he changes the channel to a space launch channel of NASA. Annoyed by this, he proceeds to call them and asks them to shut down their boring space launch channels. NASA thinks Homer is the perfect person to be sent to space and asks him to join the space program in reward of respect by his family members and friends. Space travel, which once seemed like a far-fetched fantasy, has become increasingly common. The episode's depiction of an ordinary person going to space has evolved from an unrealistic idea to a near-future reality, with commercial spaceflight and even all civilian missions now within reach. The Simpsons, it seemed, predicted ordinary people going into space well before they ever did. The episode ends with Homer returning home and back to work at the power plant, no longer a celebrated hero. But then his family comforts him, and they tell him that only a handful of people have done what he's done. And Marge also tells him that he should be proud of himself instead. Season 23, Episode 22. It begins with Lisa being at Springfield Elementary School, feeling unpopular and unwanted and even out of place, as she has been voted the least popular student in her school, whereas her brother gets the award for being the most popular student in the school. This leads to Lisa thinking of herself as an outcast and feels left out, and she also struggles to find her place. Lisa tries to do different things to gain popularity, but nothing seems to work. Gaga, upon learning about Lisa's specific unhappiness, steps into the picture and decides to visit the town and uplift not only Lisa's spirit, but everyone's spirit in the Springfield town. Then, she does a little performance for the crowd and performs her songs while flying over the audience. The episode may have been critically panned, but fans were at least interested in the prediction it contained. In the year 2017, she performed at the Super Bowl 51 halftime show, presenting some of her greatest hits, including Poker Face and Bad Romance. During her halftime show performance, Gaga was lifted above the audience, and she later played Million Reasons on the piano in the latter part of the show. Man, this show is getting really creepy now, huh? Season 5, Episode 14. The Simpsons family goes to the cinema, and they try to pick a movie to watch, but things don't go very smoothly. When Homer is deciding what film to watch with the kids, we can see a poster of a movie in the back called A Matrix Christmas. The Matrix, a groundbreaking science fiction film, debuted in 1999, followed by sequels Reloaded and Revolutions in 2003. Then, a long wait, nearly 2 decades passed before the franchise returned with The Matrix Resurrections in 2021. While Neo was prominently featured on the poster, he wasn't sporting a Christmas hat. This lengthy gap between films and the eventual return seems to echo the way that The Simpsons predict the future yet again. Season 28, Episode 2. The episode begins with Mr. Burns going to his therapist.
You're never gonna change. You will never have this.
A cheap piece of plastic with photos of ugly people?
That is my family. People who love me.
Then suddenly, the therapist collapses and passes away. Mr. Burns takes advantage of the VR headset and then hires the Simpson family to become his virtual family. At the end of the episode, during a flash forward into the not-so-distant future, the entire town of Springfield is seen wearing the VR headsets that Mr. Burns and the Simpsons were using. Even though the episode was aired in 2016, it predicted the use of VR headsets like the Apple Vision Pro. The show's satirical portrayal of VR users kinda resembles the real-life Apple Vision Pro users, doesn't it? After looking at all these eerie predictions, it's hard not to wonder, do the Simpsons really know something that we don't? Whether it's political events, technological advancements, or even celebrity scandals, the show has a bizarre track record of making jokes that later become reality. If you like this video, please subscribe and check out this next one.